Action.
Okay, we're going to reconvene. We're going to be picking up on line 27, the beach, the lifeguards.
28.
28. Oh, you got a different line. Really? Okay.
July.
That's light. Okay.
Again, I'm not 100% sure the context of this, other than I think there was some general interest in discussing lifeguard funding for 2018. So if anybody has any specific recollection of their thoughts on that.
I suggested it. I put it on the list. So one is the likelihood of really finding any business source going to be very different than this year, you know. And then two was I had forgotten to request, you know, a list of service calls during the day that seemed to be related to not having lifeguards, because I think in the past, basically, if there was an issue of beach management and not water safety, the police were called. So they really just acted as, you know, as far as
monitors as well.
exactly. But, you know, it still would result for a call for service, you know, whether it was from a lifeguard or a concerned resident, you know, beachgoer. So I'm not trying to make light of, you know, it's a very nice thing, but if the sourcing is really difficult.
Well, let me give you a quickie update, because you may recall with the changes that you at least tentatively instructed us to put together on the marketing program for the village was a $10,000 savings for the school district. So we went back to the school district and we asked them if they would take this function as kind of a trade-off. As you all know, the school district has a recreation department, so they have a trained, certified staff, a higher trained employee, people like lifeguards, and so it makes added common sense that this would be a function of the village's recreation department, be it part of the municipal budget or the school district budget. And so far, they've rejected our request, which I was a bit surprised to see, but we recontacted them again and asked them to reconsider a bit. But I don't think they will do it. I think we're on our own. My recommendation again on this would be to leave it in the budget. If you cannot get lifeguards, the security guards were helpful. They were very helpful in shagging kids and people that were walking up the beaches. We cannot order them not to leave the public beach, but in most cases, from what I was told, when they walked over and said, please don't go beyond the marker that's private property up there, the folks turned around and came back. So they were able to help this situation with the private property owners up on the north side of the beach. And they were available, they were beach monitors, keep an eye on the rowdy behavior, etc. So if you can't get the lifeguards, I strongly recommend next year you go with the security guard.
Yeah, President Johnson.
I'm a little confused why that shows tax levy increase there. I mean, it's already in the budget. Shouldn't that be tax, if we're going to make a change, wouldn't that be a tax levy reduction?
Depends on which way you change it. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Well, it's in the budget, so you'd have to be changing it.
If you, I think
My
if you added
baseline
hours,
was thinking you might want to put additional resources.
yeah, if you added hours, it would be an increase.
Yeah, dollars
Yeah,
would increase the rate.
Or you lead the whole program.
It could go either way, you're absolutely
The
right.
levy impact column for all of these is a zero, because if, you know, in the budget workshops, one or more of the trustees just asked that they be dropped into this basket. I think Tyler called it a parking lot, and then we would deal with them at the wrap-up
So
section.
let me finish.
Yeah, right.
So if we had lifeguards, it would be more than $17,000. Is that what you're saying?
Well, lifeguards, we could probably do it, but just an important note, when we did the beach monitors for August,
Yeah.
remember we added on an additional hour too. So in the past, it was always 11 to 4, and then with the beach monitors, we did 11 to 5. So if we kept the 11 to 4 for the lifeguards, we're pretty sure we could do it still for the 17,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unless you really wanted to make a change in the proposed per hourly rate, then that would be, once again, an increase. But I don't think it's a pay issue, it's a recruitment issue.
Unless we,
Well, there's a correlation.
There is a correlation, right? Right? If you get more money, but if I could articulate that differently, the issue is not necessarily that we're hearing from folks that don't want to do it because of pay, it's because they want different business office experience that
Sure.
more relates to their, maybe their future profession. That's-
Okay.
Trustee Rosa?
I didn't get a lot of feedback yet, so I'm asking for it from staff. That extra hour, was it valuable? And by doing just the 17, I assume we're going back to the 4 o'clock release time,
Right now in the budget, it would be 11 to 4.
which is different than what we had this year.
Beach monitors were 11 to 5.
Right, so if we are doing beach monitors next year, I would like to hear some feedback on how, how the public felt about the extra hour, or how you felt as staff, or,
I think we'd need a report on that from the PD. They kind of oversaw the process. I heard anecdotally from Peter about the program. Generally, it was good. There weren't problems generally with the public. They seemed to be effective. I know they changed employees midstream. They weren't happy. One of the people they had down there was reporting some hours when he wasn't there. So he left quickly and another employee came in. But we'd have to get a little more follow-up from the police chief to answer your question definitively.
I mean, if it operated smoothly, then we kind of want a reason to want to come back again, unless it's just for the money.
I guess I'm supportive of putting 17,000, maintaining in the budget. Hopefully we get some lifeguards, ideally, and we may need it for other, but at least it's a reasonable amount of funds to put in for that function, that critical function of the beach. So, hopefully we'll get some lifeguards.
I'd still like just a little bit of feedback, just so you know.
Okay.
Good to go.
Any other comments? Unchanged?
The next, go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead.
The next item is referring page 101, which is in the library's budget. There was a notation made to consider deferring programming room updates the library has requested. So, discussion on that. And 101 is,
Yep, that was my,
Yeah, don't trust you.
so this was my suggestion, and it was in reaction to, we have not decided the bigger ticket item, and I understand that one's operating budget and one is capital improvements project, which is the air condition for 300,000, but my reasoning was, since if we are gonna go forward with a big capital improvement project for the library, I was hoping that we could defer some of the more modest capital projects that show up in the operating budget under levy for this year and defer them until next year, kind of like we're doing with our software.
So are you saying it makes sense to talk about this in relation to
It's in relation
number
to
35?
number 35.
Mike, now,
Sure.
we've been discussing with the library as they're trying to develop some facilities plans of their own. Now that they've been in operation for, I think, about 15 years at the Village Center. The discussion always breaks around the village's overall responsibility for the heavy mechanicals and the structure of the Village Center, and then the library's responsibility to manage inside the library doors. So, while I appreciate that it's the same facility, I would just add to the discussion that those are two different activities. So, we can certainly pick that up again when we get to.
They're completely separate projects.
I understand, they're both,
One's the HVAC system, rather to repair it again or go ahead and replace it.
Well, again, the HVAC is general municipal, not library.
and
I
this is.
thought that was the one she identified to discuss in conjunction. Line 35.
Well, again, Village Center is the structure. Library occupies only a portion of that. So, just, again, to shed a little light on discussions that we've been having at the staff level with library and their board as well, so.
Thank you, and you pay for both, so, I understand they're in two separate lines.
Yeah,
But, yeah, it's just, a $300,000 capital improvement is pretty large.
Yeah, that's a large
Yeah,
project.
and so, carpeting, and people we've done that here, and we've deferred, you know, if there's a large maintenance project on the facility, you know, and the village manager's budget will defer buying some new furniture. I mean, we just make that kind of trade-off in the year that the big expenses come.
Would you like to circle back then to that one, Michael, later?
Take it out.
Trustee McKay, I think.
Yeah, you jumped on that one.
Because it has nothing to do with the HVAC system anyway, if you want to pull it out for the year. Except that
Wait,
I support the expense, I would support the programming room upgrade. They do a lot of programming every year, and there's a lot of traffic in there, and it is in bad shape, and that is just a huge service to the community, parents as well as children, so there are a lot of residents that use that. And it's not very much money. You can do a lot. It will make a big difference to the people who spend hours and hours there.
It is carpet, but it's also the projection screen and the programming card, so that with the projection screen, they'll be able to do other programs, gaming, and enhance the program. It also is, it is the library, we have a library board, and we agree to provide them a levy amount. They really govern how that levy is expended and what's their priorities within their budget. And they've presented this to us as the basis on which but to say, you know, if we say, well, you know, we don't approve this, they made the library board and they go, we want, you know, this is a priority to us. They may adjust, but the levy is what we actually adjust. The levy amount is what we control in the library.
And that room is also available to reserve for community meeting space. So there's a wider use than just their children to look at the antiques.
I would support keeping it in.
I would as well.
Okay.
Next line item, marketing, consider funding service alternatives. We did give you a printout refresher of the PowerPoint slide that was presented at the last workshop. So this is for some additional discussion on that, and if the board wants to choose one of those alternatives or stick with the status quo.
Just a question, on the slide that you gave the copy of, on alternative one, you have there's an amount shown there. What's the amount on alternative two? Is that 40,000 or?
Well, that is to, as presented, that would reduce that to 20,000 from 40, and then staff would recommend that the communications be integrated into the village manager's budget. 4th of July Festival would be integrated into the village board budget.
I'm confused yet.
So
Okay.
what's the net?
Alternative one is remove 9,000 from professional fees, reduce surplus applied. Alternative two is remove all professional fees.
Is that the 40,000?
What's it do on page 109? The 40 is a revenue number, I'm trying, so are we reducing the revenues from?
Well, the worksheet is focused on tax impact.
Okay, right.
So as staff has presented, the implementation of alternative two with the
Okay.
recommendations from the other night would reduce the property tax funding for the remaining activities from 40,000 to 20,000,
Okay.
notwithstanding additional discussion on whether or not to use surplus funds that are currently in the marketing department as well.
And what's the 20,000 that remains for, I'm sorry, I just.
20,000, 7,500 of that would be to, for the village to organize the 4th of July event.
And that's not fundraised?
No, that's just the organizational effort. Fundraising is designed to support for the event activities.
18,000 is fundraised, and then the village provides a commitment for an additional 7,000.
Did we fund over 18,000 this year? I mean, did we fundraise more?
Yeah, we fundraise some more, but yeah, usually the village contributes 7,500, and part of that 7,500 contribution goes to the coordinator, like Sarah. So part of that 7,500 goes to Sarah, who's up in that role.
My question is, if the whole cost was 20,000 and we were able to fundraise for 20,000, we could, is there anything that prohibits us from utilizing some of that money towards the coordinator? We used to do it at bid, that's the only reason I'm asking.
Could you, I'm sorry, rephrase your, I'm confused by your question, I'm sorry. Can you just rephrase it?
Sure, if we raise more than the 18,000, can that funding go towards the coordinator's 7,500?
Sure, I guess, I mean, I don't see why I
And then that would
couldn't,
drop down.
but,
Okay.
But we still need the budget.
right.
You didn't quite finish
The
the
question is, yes.
Mark didn't finish.
The 20.
Sure, so-
The 20.
7,500 of that would be the baseline to fund the event organization with the event organizer understanding that the scope of activities provided at the event would correlate with any fundraising activities.
Okay.
The remaining 12.5 would be for other communications, publications, some printing and postage costs, and then some graphic artist support, which would then